Hi, welcome to Right to Top. I'm Adam. Today's video is about ideas. Now, more specifically, what I'm going to help you do is create an idea bank. Now, this is for people who are going to be taking a language test, and you have a writing section in this language test, and you have to write an essay, to be more specific. Now, many test takers have told me that the same problem every time. They don't know what to write about. They can't think of ideas for the topic, for whatever the question is. So what I'm going to help you do today is create an idea bank so that you do all your thinking before test day. That way you release some stress, you don't have to worry too much, you already have ideas ready to go for any essay topic that comes up. So let's start with what is an idea bank, why do it, how to do it, okay? So first of all, what is an idea bank? So what you're going to do is you're going to have a collection of words and expressions and synonyms. You're going to create questions. You're going to think of subtopics from a general topic, and you're going to think about more detailed subtopics. You're going to think of your examples. You're going to think of actual essays that you're going to be writing, right? So this is a whole collection that you're going to build long before test day, and for very different topics. You have to think about what are the common topics on these exams. For example, education, health, technology, government, society, all kinds of different topics. If you do all your thinking before test day, you will be much more relaxed while writing your essay. So this is why create an idea bank. Do your brainstorming before. Now, what is brainstorming? When you get your essay question, your essay task, you very quickly have to plan your essay, right? So you have to think, what am I going to write about? First of all, do I have to give an opinion? Do I have to give some solutions to a problem, etc.? What ideas am I going to use to support my argument? What examples am I going to use to support my ideas, right? So a lot of people, they get very nervous because maybe you get a topic that you've never really thought about before. But if you thought about it before test day, then when you see that question, you're ready with your ideas, your examples, everything, your keywords, etc. You're going to save time, you're going to save energy, you're going to reduce your stress. Now, in most of these language exams, the writing comes at the end or very near the end, which means you've already been thinking in English, you've been listening, you've been reading, maybe you've already done your speaking. So you're a little bit tired, you're a little bit nervous, you're a little bit stressed out. Don't let these factors affect how you write. Have your ideas prepared and concentrate only on the actual writing of the essay, the grammar, the sentence structures, the vocabulary. Make sure you have your organization. Don't worry about ideas, worry about English, because that's what you're being tested on, okay? So now we're going to look at how to build an idea bank, what you should do long before test day. Now, before I actually get there, I have to say one thing, and some of you are going to get a little bit nervous by what you're about to see because it takes a lot of hard work to create this idea bank. But if you want success, you have to be prepared. And preparation means hard work. Okay, so let's get started. First thing you're going to do is you're going to collect your keywords. So we're going to look at the topic of education as an example. Okay, you're going to think of as many keywords as you can possibly think of. Now, the best way to do this, just do a Google search or a Bing search or whatever search engine you use. Put in your topic, education, plus, and then vocabulary. And then see how many sites come up. You may have to go to different sites and get a list, get all your words together. Now, think about the words in different groups. For example, facilities. So think about schools. Think about places of learning. What are they going to have? There's going to be a campus, which is basically the whole building, all the infrastructure of a learning facility, okay, or learning institution. Classrooms, lecture halls, labs, all kinds of different labs. A studio, maybe you're doing some audio visual things, maybe you're doing all kinds of things that you need a studio, like art, etc. There's a library, a cafeteria, a dormitory, an auditorium, a sports athletic facility, a playground, a gymnasium, all kinds of different things. Write them all down in one little group. Different types of schools. There's colleges, universities, community college. There's vocational schools, technical colleges, boarding schools, all kinds of different schools. Put them in there. You never know which one of these you're going to be using in your essay, whatever the essay topic may be. Think about course-related vocabulary. There's a course of study, a curriculum, a syllabus, research, thesis, dissertation. A teacher gives you a rubric on how he or she scores your assignments. Sometimes your grade depends on attendance. If you're writing a report, you need to put in citations. So all of these words are very important. Now, you may have a lot of words, maybe hundreds of words. Obviously, you're not going to use them all, but just by collecting these words and just by looking at these words, you're already generating ideas, and that you can use all of these ideas in any essay topic that comes up. Okay, so that's step one. Let's go to the next. So don't forget, use these words. Don't just put them in a list and forget them. Go back to the list every once in a while, look at it. New words, obviously, look them up. Use them in sentences. When you're writing your practice essays, use as many of these words as you possibly can, okay? Next, think of subtopics. Now, education is a very broad topic. You can ask all kinds of questions about education. So now you think of subtopics, more specific aspects of education. So for example, vocational school, college, or university. So should you go learn a trade, or should you go get a degree in some liberal arts program like humanities? Abstract courses or very specific practical courses? Theory, practical. And then again, think of all the things that you can talk about. Content. So when you're talking about these different types of schools, you have theoretical versus practical education. You can have hands-on education, skills, knowledge, concrete versus abstract, trades. Now, trades are people like a carpenter, mechanic, plumber. They learn a very specific skill that they can then use as a job, as a career. Think of the different instructors at the different schools. And for example, in a vocational school where you're learning an actual skill for a job, you're learning how to do a specific job, you will probably have teachers with real world experience, versus academia, where all the professors have been in the university their whole lives. They might not know as much about the outside world. In a college, you can have masters. Your teachers have master's degrees. In university, your teachers have doctors, like PhDs. Real world contacts, scholars versus trained professionals, ivory tower versus layman. So ivory tower, this is an expression for people who are very disconnected from the man on the street. Layman is the man on the street, lay person, okay? Think about the fees. Obviously, a vocational school is going to be much cheaper than a university. There's books, tuition, subsidies. Some schools give you subsidies and grants and scholarships. Some have government support. Think of all these little details and create yourself a list of possible topics, possible ideas to use in an essay question that asks something about this. Now, don't be afraid that by focusing too much on these little things, you're never going to use them. Well, you might. First of all, you might get a question specifically on this, but a lot of this stuff will also carry over to other topics, okay? If you're talking about instructors, you're talking about education, and then you're talking about society, you're talking about what governments can or can't do or should or shouldn't do when it comes to supporting educational institutions. They must mandate a certain level of teacher qualifications, etc. Who gives these qualifications, etc. So education, a lot of these things will be connected to technology, a lot of them will be connected to health, etc. Next, start creating questions. Now think about the question types that you might see on your exam. For example, you can see an agree or disagree question, you can see a yes or no question, a compare, contrast, or discussion question. Think about opinions, no opinions, etc. So here are 3 possible questions. Schools should prepare students for the labor market and not waste time and money on theoretical knowledge. Do you agree or disagree? To what extent do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Think about the different ways this could be set up as a question. Should college students be forced to take courses outside their main area of study? Why? Don't forget the follow-up questions, okay? Should college, you're starting with a verb. Remember, the answer must be a yes or a no at some point. Compare. Some students prefer to study near home while others want to study in a different city or even country. Compare these 2 options and say which you would prefer. So once you have your collection of subtopics, you have all kinds of different questions that you can create. The more questions you can create yourself before test day, the more questions you're prepared for on test day. Less stress, focus on the writing, okay? Let's move on to actually the question types. Make sure you understand which ones you should think about. Agree, disagree, yes, no, compare, contrast, discuss. Advantages, disadvantages, open question, what, who, when, where, how. Choice or preference questions. With opinion, without opinion, hybrid. Sometimes you'll get a question that asks you, discuss both these options and say which you agree with or which you prefer, etc. Be prepared for anything. If you're doing IELTS, you might have two-part questions. You have two questions in the task. Create some of those types of questions. Don't forget follow-up questions. Do you agree or disagree? Why? Why not? Okay, all these things. So once you have all your questions, go to the next step. Okay, so actually, before we go to the next step, another thing I want you to think about. Make sure that you take certain topics or subtopics and create different types of questions on the same topic. So for example, should college students be forced to take courses outside their main area of study? Why? Why not? This is a yes/no question. The aim of a college education should be to make students more well-rounded. Thus, students must take mandatory courses in subjects outside their area of concentration. Do you agree or disagree? Some college students prefer to take courses outside their concentrations, while others prefer to focus only on courses that relate to their majors. Compare these two approaches and say which you prefer. Then compare, contrast, and preference, right? So same topic, it's all about courses in your major and courses outside your major, created in or presented in three different ways. Agree, disagree, yes, no, compare, and choose. So make sure you do that with a bunch of your subtopics as well. Then start thinking of your examples. Think of concrete examples. Think of sort of blanket research examples. Think about expressions you can use. Think about different things that can be applied. If you're thinking about concrete, think of people, think of things, think of places. So for example, Steve Jobs. Now, another thing you want to do with your examples is you want to think of examples that you can apply to many different topics, many different subtopics. So Steve Jobs is a great example. He can be used for a lot of education questions. He can be used for a lot of technology questions. He's the co-founder of Apple. He dropped out of college, so you can use that about, is college really that important? He took a calligraphy course because of interest. So calligraphy is like a style of writing, like artistic writing. This led him to create fonts on Mac. So all of you know fonts like Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial. These are because he studied an artistic class. So he didn't only focus on technology. He liked art. He studied art. So what did he do with that? He used that art to use in his technology. So very good example for arts versus STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, maths, okay? He also gave a presentation, or he gave a speech at Stanford University. If you want to use a quote in your essay, by all means, just make sure you remember the quote properly. Or just have a very abstract but still focused example. Research conducted by Harvard University's Faculty of Education found that students who spend at least 1 hour doing homework every day are 3 times more likely than their peers to have above average grades. Is this true? I don't know. I don't know if Harvard University's Faculty of Education did any research like this, but it sounds true. Now, keep in mind that the graders on your exams, they're going to spend about 5 minutes checking your writing section. They don't care if it's true or not true. It just has to sound true. And more importantly, it has to support your argument. Okay? So if you're using this example, this is an essay about homework, for example. Should students do more homework or less homework or no homework? And you're supporting the idea that homework is very important and young kids should do homework. This is going to support that argument, okay? It doesn't have to be true. Harvard University, you could put Princeton University, you could put University of California. It doesn't matter. As long as it sounds true and it supports the argument. The graders are not going to go check. They don't care. They care about your English and your ability to support an argument. Now, once you've collected everything, what are you going to do with all this information? Well, you're going to take your keywords and you're going to start connecting them to the different questions in which they may be applicable, in which they can help you actually answer the question. Then you're going to do the same thing with the examples. Keep in mind, you've created your questions with the subtopics. Now you have your questions, you're adding keywords, you're putting examples. Now, for all the questions you've created, write out a plan. Ideally, get yourself to the point where you can create a plan for any question in 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, that's part of your practice, part of your preparation. Then, once you've gone through all the questions, once you've written all your plans, pick out a question at random and write a full essay. Okay, the key to success on the writing section is practice. And if you don't practice, you will never get to that score you need. I've had many people tell me I've taken the IELTS so many times, I've taken the TOEFL so many times, but I always fail the essay, I always fail the writing section. Well, then that's what you need to practice, and you need to practice it hard every day and be very driven. Now, I know that this is a lot of work to do, so I've created an ebook, The Right Idea. It's called The Right Idea ebook. The first book is about education. You can purchase this through my site. It's a PDF file. You can download it, you can print it. It has all these things I just mentioned right in the book, okay? There are 43 pages in this book, over 500 keywords, over 20 subtopics. There are 52 example questions about education and the different subtopics, 20 examples that you can use and you can change and adapt to whatever the situation. Plus, I gave you 10 sample essays, high quality, 9 IELTS, 30 TOEFL, that you can study. You can get more vocabulary from them. You can see how I set up to the different question types, okay? If you want more information about this book, please go to my website and you can find out more information about the Idea Bank and about the ebook. There's a link in the description box that you can follow to get more information. And of course, if you have any more questions, by all means, please ask me here in YouTube. I'll be happy to help you out. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and come back soon for grammar, writing, vocab, lots of good lessons to help you pass your writing exam section on any test. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.